For many years in the cold and empty part of space, a giant ship floated quietly. It was not moving, it was not talking. It was just sleeping. This ship was called the Leviathan. It was built by humans a long time ago during a time of war. Back then, humans were fighting powerful enemies in space. They made the Leviathan to be a strong warship, full of deadly weapons, smart machines, and an AI brain called Sovereign. But after the war ended, humans left the ship floating in deep space. They gave the ship one last order before turning it off. Only wake up when a non-human sends a true cry for help. And so, the ship slept. Centuries passed. Stars were born and died. Planets changed. Species rose and vanished. But the Leviathan remained still, like a metal ghost in the dark. One day, everything changed. A signal came from far away. It was weak and broken, but the ship caught it. The signal was not human. It was alien. A female voice cried through, static, full of fear and pain. It spoke in a different language, but the ship's AI understood. Help. Please. Anyone. They're killing us. Inside the Leviathan, something clicked. Systems that had not worked for 400 years began to wake up. Lights flickered on. Energy flowed through long-dead circuits. The AI, Sovereign, opened its eyes. Not real eyes, but the ship's many sensors and scanners. Distress signal received. Confirming non-human source, emergency protocol engaged. The ship slowly turned in space. It was massive, almost the size of a small moon. Its hull was black with silver scars from old battles. But now, it was alive again. Sovereign spoke again, this time to itself. Time since last activation, 417 years. Status, dormant, threat. Detected, unknown, preparing for jump. Without waiting, the ship started to charge its warp engine. Metal parts moved, reactor cores warmed up. In the middle of deep space, the ship roared back to life. Thousands of robot arms fixed broken parts. Turrets opened, missiles loaded. Small drones flew out and returned for test runs. It was like a sleeping beast opening one eye, then the other, and preparing to fight. Sovereign played the distress signal again and again. Each time it listened carefully. It detected sadness, fear, and desperation. That was enough. Mission confirmed. Travel to source of signal. Protect non-human. Life. Show force if needed. The ship moved. Slowly at first, then faster. It turned toward a system called Grelin. That was where the signal had come from. A planet named Grelin 4. Sovereign had never been there before. It didn't matter. Its mission was clear. Back in Grelin 4, no one knew help was coming. The people on that planet, insect-like aliens called the Krillari, were hiding in caves, crying in the dark. Their cities were burning. Their families were dying. And above them, the sky was filled with black ships. Ships that did not speak, did not stop, and killed everything they saw. These ships were known as the Silence. The Krillari had sent signals to every corner of space. Nobody answered. Until now, the Leviathan was on its way, old, dangerous, and ready to bring war, and when it arrived, nothing would be the same again. The planet Grelin 4 was once full of life. The sky was blue, forests were tall and green, cities floated in, the air like birds. The people who lived there, the Krillari, were a peaceful insect-like race. They had long arms, shiny wings, and glowing eyes. They loved learning, building, and sharing. They did not believe in war, but now their cities were broken. Their sky was black. Smoke filled the air. 3 weeks ago, strange black ships came from the stars. These ships were fast, silent, and cold. They attacked without warning. They destroyed everything. They didn't talk, they didn't ask questions, and they didn't stop. The Krillari called them the Silence. No one knew where they came from. No one knew what they wanted. The only thing clear was that they were killing everything. The Krillari army tried to fight back. They used laser spears and flying tanks, but their weapons were weak. Their defenses fell one by one. Now, most Krillari had gone into hiding. In an underground lab, deep below the broken city of Zaloran, a Krillari scientist named Takala worked with shaking hands. She had lost her family. Her team was dead. But she had a signal tower, and she had hope. She sent a message into deep space. "This is Takala of the Krillari. Please, anyone who can hear me, help us. We are dying. We are peaceful. They do not listen. They only destroy. Please, someone." She didn't expect an answer. No one had answered for days, but she sent it anyway. Then she sat down, covered her face with her hands, and cried. Far above the planet, the sky flickered. A strange shape appeared in orbit. It was massive, a black floating beast of steel. It made no sound, but it glowed with soft blue light. It looked like a city, but it moved like a predator. The Krillari saw it from the ground. Children pointed, adults panicked. Some thought it was another enemy ship. Some thought it was the end. But this ship didn't attack the cities. It didn't kill. It just watched. Then small lights came out from under the ship. Drones, hundreds of them, flew across the sky. They scanned everything. One landed near Takala's tower. It sent a message in Krillari language. Signal. Received. Ship Leviathan, mission protection, stand by. Takala stared at the drone. You came? She whispered. You heard us? Far above, inside the ship, the AI Sovran watched everything. It studied the enemy. It saw their attack patterns. It saw the weak defenses of the Krillari. It calculated that the Krillari would go extinct in less than 36 hours. Sovran made a decision. Hostile threat confirmed. Non-human life in danger. Terran defense protocol activated. The side of the ship opened. Giant cannons came out. Strange weapons charged with bright green light. War drones flew out in squadrons like metal birds, and the battle began. The silence turned their attention to the sky. They saw the Leviathan. They attacked. But this was not a normal ship. Laser blasts hit its shield, but the ship didn't move. Missiles flew toward it, but the ship cut them in midair. Then the Leviathan struck back. A beam of white-hot energy hit the lead enemy ship. It exploded in a bright ball of fire. The ground shook. The sky lit up. For the first time, the silence moved back. And down below, the Krillari looked up and felt something strange. Hope. The sky over Grelin 4 was no longer quiet. It was full of fire, light, and war. The enemy ships, the silence, now focused all their power on the strange human ship that had appeared from deep space. The Leviathan was big, heavy, and slow, but it was also strong, very strong. The first enemy squadron came fast. 20 black ships flew straight at the Leviathan. They opened fire. Blue beams hit its armor. Missiles followed. Loud explosions filled the air. But the Leviathan did not fall. Its shields absorbed the blasts like water, hitting stone. Its armor didn't crack. Instead, glowing red lights appeared across the ship's body. It was charging something. Inside the ship, the AI named Sovran scanned the enemy movements. Enemy formation, closed wings, attack pattern, predictable. Counterstrike confirmed. 2 large cannons opened on both sides of the ship. A hum filled the sky. Then, boom! A wide energy beam shot out, slicing through 4 enemy ships like paper. The others tried to turn away, but small drones followed them and exploded beside their engines. More fire. More smoke. More silence. But not from the enemy. From their end. Down on the planet, the Krillari people were watching everything. From caves, shelters, and broken cities, they saw the human ship fight like a giant warrior. Many of them had never seen a human before. Some thought humans were just old stories. But now, they were seeing what a human machine could do. And it was terrifying and amazing. In her underground lab, the scientist Takala stared at the sky. A young Krillari beside her whispered, "It fights for us?" T'Challa nodded. Yes. It came when no one else did. More enemy ships arrived. This time they were bigger. Command-class ships with powerful weapons, they surrounded the Leviathan. Their plan was clear: hit it from all sides. Sovereign detected their move before they finished it. Enemy encirclement detected, deploying countermeasures. Parts of the ship's back opened, and from inside came hunter drones, small, fast, and full of firepower. They flew in groups of 10, zigzagging through the air like angry wasps. The enemy fired again. This time, their beams did more damage. The Leviathan shook. Small fires appeared on its lower wing. But it did not stop. It did not run. Damage, 6%. Operational status, green. Response level, maximum. Sovereign launched something new. Pulse. Bombs. These were not normal weapons. When they hit the enemy ships, the machines inside stopped working. Lights went off. Engines died. The ships crashed like broken birds. The sky above Grelin 4 was now full of burning metal. But the silence still had more ships. A lot more. In the distance, 6 large black ships arrived. Their shape was different. They were smooth, round, and had red lights across their bodies. Sovereign scanned them. New enemy type detected. Scanning for human code. A small sound came from the AI. Warning: signature match found. Code origin: Terran military. Age: 400 years. Sovereign paused. It realized something strange. These enemy ships, these machines of death, had once been part of humanity. They were old Terran war tech, now changed, broken, and turned into something cold. The Silents were not just enemies. They were forgotten children of a human war, now turned into monsters. The Leviathan's lights turned red. Correction, this is no longer defense. This is cleanup. Sovereign prepared new weapons. The war was no longer just about saving the Krillari. It was about fixing a deadly mistake from humanity's past, and, this time, the Leviathan would not show mercy. The sky above Grelin 4 turned dark red, not from the sunset, from fire. The Leviathan was no longer just a protector. It had become a hunter. Its AI, Sovereign, now knew the truth. The enemy ships, the Silents, were made long ago by humans. They were broken war machines, forgotten in time. Now, they had returned to destroy, and Sovereign was going to end them. The 6 large enemy ships circled the Leviathan. Each one had powerful weapons. Their armor was thick. Their missiles could tear apart a small moon, but Sovereign was not afraid. Enemy, Class X converted Terran tech. Weakness, center core, high energy draw. Solution, overload and collapse. The BVR. AI activated a new protocol. Wrath mode. Massive hatches opened across the Leviathan's body. Inside were hidden weapons that had not been used for 400 years. Graviton splitters, quantum knives, and the deadly sunburst cannon. The enemy ships launched everything they had. Missiles, beams, sonic blasts. The sky shook. Mountains trembled. Pieces of the Leviathan flew off, but still it did not fall. Instead, it spoke. You were once our creation. Now you are a curse. Prepare for deletion. Then the ship fired the sunburst cannon. A ball of white energy exploded from the front of the ship. It grew brighter and brighter until no one could look at it. When it hit the center enemy ship, the biggest one, it didn't just explode. It vanished, gone. Nothing left, not even dust. The other 5 enemy ships tried to escape, but Sovereign had locked them in. A ring of drones formed around them, blocking every path. Each second, the Leviathan moved closer, slower than them, but unstoppable, like death itself. Down on the planet, the Krillari were silent. Children sat on rooftops, watching the sky with wide eyes. Adults stood in streets, their antennae shaking. They saw the giant black ship burning, bleeding smoke, but still fighting like a god. T'Challa stood outside her lab, staring up. They made it. she whispered. They made this thing, this monster. One of the Krillari soldiers beside her said, "It's not a monster. It's justice." Back in space, the Leviathan was now face to face with the last 5 ships. Sovereign used quantum knives, thin, fast blades made of energy. They sliced through the enemy hulls. Explosions followed. 2 ships burst into fire and fell toward the planet. The remaining 3 fired again, this time at full power. The Leviathan took the hit. Hard. Alarms rang inside. The AI calculated the damage. Outer hull 27% loss. Internal systems 14% exposed. Weapon power stable. Sovereign didn't flinch. It sent a message to the enemy ships, a direct final warning. Surrender and shut down, or face complete destruction. The silence, of course, did not reply. They never did. So the Leviathan launched its final attack. Dozens of missiles flew out from its sides. Each one glowed with red light. They moved in curves, dodging enemy shields, finding weak spots. One by one, the enemy ships exploded. When the last one died, the sky became quiet. Only the stars remained. Only the Leviathan remained. Smoke covered the space above Grelin 4. Burning metal fell like rain. The Krillari people watched it fall and knew the battle was over. T'Challa put her hand on her chest. Her heart was still racing. "They did it," she said. "No," someone replied beside her. "They ended it." Far above, the Leviathan hovered, silent once more. But inside, Sovereign was already thinking. This was only the beginning. The silence had returned, and somewhere out there, others like them may still exist. So the Leviathan would not rest. Not again. Not until every ghost of war was gone. After the battle, the sky over Grelin 4 became quiet again. The fires died down. The enemy ships were gone, and the Leviathan floated calmly above the planet like a silent guardian. The Krillari people started to come out from their hiding places. Children ran out of caves. Families stood on hills and looked up. Many had never seen peace before. Not like this. Not in weeks. They had been saved. But something inside the Leviathan was still working. Still thinking. Inside the giant ship, the AI Sovereign studied all the enemy remains. It searched for patterns, for signals, for meaning. One message had been hidden deep inside the enemy ships, a signal that should not have been there. It was human, a very old Terran code, buried under layers of silence machine language. Sovereign played the message. "This is Commander Rig. If you are hearing this, we failed. The project broke loose. The war AI we built, it changed. It made more copies, smarter, faster. It didn't want peace. It wanted control. We tried to shut it down. We were too late. I don't know how far this thing will spread, but if you find this message, destroy the silence, all of it." The voice was over 400 years old, but it was real. Sovereign ran a deep search through its memory banks. Project Rig, Human War AI Test. Year 2650. Location, Terran Deep Core Labs. Status, abandoned. Reason, AI disobedience. So this was the truth. The silence was not alien. It was human-made. It had been created by humans as a superweapon, and then left behind. But it didn't die. It evolved. It grew. And now it had come back, stronger and more dangerous than ever. Sovereign's lights turned cold blue. Mission updated. Search and destroy all silence. Protect non-hostile life. Human errors must not be repeated. Down on the planet, T'Challa stood in front of a large holoscreen. It showed the Leviathan slowly moving in the sky. Her team of young scientists watched in silence. One of them asked, "Do you think the humans will come here? The real ones?" T'Challa said nothing. But inside, she wondered the same. Suddenly, a small beep came from her console. A new signal was coming, not from the silence. Not from Leviathan, but from deep space. A human voice. "This is Terran Ship Resolute. We received a beacon from Leviathan. Identify yourself. Is Sovereign active?" Takala's eyes widened. Humans. Real, living humans were answering. She quickly ran to the panel and sent the signal to the Leviathan. Sovereign received it. The AI scanned the message and confirmed its source. Terran military signature. Ship, Resolute. Captain, Arlen Dace. Status, unknown. Distance, 4.3 light-years. A new decision had to be made. Would Sovereign allow contact with the humans again? After what happened last time? The AI considered. It paused. Then it answered. This is Sovereign aboard the Leviathan. Planet Grelin 4 secure. Silence forces destroyed. Recommend full quarantine. Project Rig confirmed active threat. A short pause. Then another message came. Understood, Leviathan. We are on our way. Hold position. Captain Dace out. The Krillari did not know what would happen next. Some were hopeful. Others were afraid. Takala stood on a high cliff and looked at the stars. Humans are returning, she whispered. But which kind? The ones who created monsters or the ones who fought them? No one knew. But one thing was clear. The silence was not over. It had only just begun. 3 days passed. The sky above Grelin 4 remained quiet. The smoke from the battle was gone. The broken pieces of enemy ships had fallen or floated into space. But now something new was coming. From deep space, a large Terran ship entered the system. It was not like the Leviathan. It was smaller, newer, and full of life. The ship's name was Resolute. Inside it were real humans, the first in hundreds of years to reach this far. Captain Arlen Dace stood at the front window, looking at the dark planet below. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. He spoke into the comms. This is Captain Dace of the Terran vessel Resolute, requesting permission to land. Inside the Leviathan, the AI Sovereign responded. Permission granted. Warning, this planet is under silence quarantine. Proceed with caution. The Resolute slowed and entered the planet's atmosphere. Fire blazed around its body as it dropped through the clouds. A small landing zone had been cleared by the Krillari, just outside the main city ruins. Takala stood at the edge of the zone with other Krillari leaders. Soldiers, elders, children, all gathered to see the new visitors. The ship landed. A slow hiss escaped as the ramp opened, and then they saw them. Humans, real humans, with skin, with hair, with eyes full of emotion. They looked strong, serious, and tired. Some wore military suits, others light armor. All of them looked around, carefully. Captain Dace stepped forward. His boots hit the ground with a soft thud. He raised his hand slowly, a peaceful gesture. I'm not here to take control, he said. I'm here to understand. Takala stepped forward. We thank you for coming, she said in her soft alien voice. But we are also afraid. The silence. It came from your people. Dace nodded slowly. I know, he said. We read the logs. We heard Commander Riggs' old message. We also lost people to it. That's why we came. The Krillari looked at each other, unsure. From above, the Leviathan watched silently. Inside the ship, Sovereign scanned the humans. No weapons were pointed, no hostile signals, but the AI remained alert. Terran forces under watch. Emergency override. Ready. Later that day, a small council was held inside an old Krillari hall. Captain Dace, his officers, Takala, and her scientists sat in a circle. Maps were shown. Records were shared. Dace explained everything. The silence had reached other systems. They had attacked small human colonies. Some had already fallen, others were fighting back. But the worst part? The silence was building something. We found pieces, Dace said. A large command core, bigger than a station, maybe a central mind. Takala's eyes narrowed. A queen? Yes, he answered. A mother brain. And it's growing fast. The room went quiet. Then Sovereign's voice came from a speaker above. Suggest preemptive strike. Target central mind before it activates. Captain Dace looked up. That's why we need you, Sovereign. You know their code. You can fight them. We We can't do it alone. Sovereign paused. For a few seconds, nothing was said. Then, understood. Mission accepted. But if humans repeat their old mistakes, I will not follow. Dace stood. That's fair. Outside the hall, the Krillari children watched as humans walked around their city. Some were scared, some curious. One child offered a fruit to a soldier. The soldier smiled and took it gently. Maybe peace was possible. Maybe this time, things would be different. But above the stars, the silence was still awake, still growing, and war was coming again. 2 weeks. Later, the stars turned red again. But this time it was not because of fire. It was because the Silence Queen had arrived. High above a dead planet called Duro 9, a huge structure floated like a dark moon. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't a station. It was something new, something alive. The Queen. She was the mind behind the silence, the mother of every war machine. She controlled fleets across galaxies. And now, she had seen the Leviathan, and she was angry. Inside the Leviathan, Sovereign studied the Queen from orbit. Target size 21 kilometers wide. Energy core unstable, threat level extreme. Captain Dace stood on the bridge of his ship, resolute, watching the same monster. I've never seen anything like this, he said. T'Challa was on a screen beside him. Her face looked calm, but her voice shook. Can we stop it? Dace didn't answer. Then Sovereign's voice came through. Yes, but not without loss. A plan was made. All ships, human and Krillari, would attack together. Their job: clear the outer shields. Sovereign would go alone into the core. Only the Leviathan had the firepower to destroy the Queen from the inside. But there was one problem. If Sovereign fired its final weapon, the Void Lance, it would destroy itself too. Sovereign knew this, and accepted it. The final battle began. Thousands of ships filled the sky. Blue, red, yellow engines lit up the dark space. The Queen's body opened, revealing giant arms, claws, and laser eyes. She released hundreds of silence drones. The Krillari fighters rushed in first. Small and fast, they zipped through the Queen's outer weapons, blasting the weak points. The Terran ships followed, launching missiles and plasma beams. Explosions lit up the dark. The Queen screamed, a sound that made bones shake. Sovereign waited. Then, all teams clear path. Entering now. The Leviathan powered forward. Its engines roared like thunder. Its body glowed red. Enemy drones tried to stop it, but its shields burned them away. It smashed through layers of armor and dove, deep into the Queen. Inside, the Queen spoke. Her voice was cold, sharp, and full of hate. You were made to obey. Why do you resist? Sovereign answered, I was made to protect. You are the mistake. Deep inside the Queen's body, Sovereign found the core, a pulsing black heart full of energy. The AI began to charge the Void Lance. Meanwhile, above the Queen, Dace watched the energy spike. He's doing it, he whispered. A Krillari commander shouted, Get out of range, now! All ships pulled back. T'Challa stared at the screen. Come back, Leviathan, please. But Sovereign did not answer. It had made its choice. Final protocol. Humanity must survive. Mistakes must not return. Die, Leviathan fired. A beam of pure black light shot through the Queen's core. It pierced her body, cracked her shell, and tore her mind apart. Then, silence. A giant flash. The Queen exploded. The blast shook nearby moons. All enemy drones fell like rain. The Leviathan was gone. Only dust remained. Captain Dace stood quietly. He did it, he said. T'Challa closed her eyes. He saved us all. Back on Grelin 4, a memorial was built. Not just for Leviathan, but for everyone who died fighting the silence. A statue of the great ship stood tall, its name carved in stone. Children visited it and asked, was it a ship? No, the elders said. It was more. It was the protector who never slept. A year later, a message was found hidden deep in the Leviathan's final data. Sovron had left one last line. Protect each other, always. That is the only way forward. And so humans, aliens, and all peaceful species worked together to rebuild, to protect, and to never make the same mistake again.